Since the beginning, man has wanted to communicate, to share ideas with others. American Indians used smoke signals, and Africans used drums. Our forefathers sent letters by Pony Express. Then came the revolution, the telegraph, radio, telephone, movies, television, and even communication with a man on the moon. Clearly, in all ages, communication has been an essential part of living. Adam and Eve taught their children to read and write and keep a book of remembrance. God commanded Moses and other prophets to write down the words he spoke to them. The scriptures tell of records kept on sticks, skins, rocks, papyrus, and metal. Scholars have traced writing back as far as 3,500 BC in Iran. In 1830, some ancient writing on plates was found in Palmyra, New York, by a young man named Joseph Smith, who described them as follows.
The records were engraven on plates which had the appearance of gold. Each plate was 6 inches wide and 8 inches long, and not quite as thin as common tin. They were filled with engravings in Egyptian characters and bound together in a volume as the leaves of a book, with 3 rings running through the whole. The volume was something near 6 inches in thickness, a part of which was sealed.
At that time, in 1830, Joseph Smith's discovery was new. But was it unique? Was writing on metal plates completely unknown? The answer is no. Even in the 1400s, in the medieval city of Gubbio, Italy, 7 large bronze tablets were discovered which contained instructions for religious ceremonies and even parts of the Old Testament. Since then, lead plates have been found in Bologna and Venice containing commercial records of Italian families, a common practice until the 16th century. In the 1730s, a French author told of a lead book containing magical texts dating back to the Middle Ages. Early Greek and Latin writings tell of metal plates used for treaty tablets and temple prayers. These writings were translated and widely read in Europe and America. Therefore, anyone familiar with the classics in 1830 should not have been surprised at the idea of writing on metal. Writing on metal took a variety of forms. When Sir Francis Drake sailed into San Francisco Bay in the 1500s, he claimed the territory and erected a bronze plaque to document his claim. All of these examples of writing on metal were found and preceded Joseph Smith's remarkable discovery in 1830. Nevertheless, his discovery created much excitement and some skepticism because it involved gold plates. Ancient writings on gold plates were not commonplace in 1830, but many have been found worldwide since that time. In 1965 in Korea, 19 gold plates were found at the base of a pagoda, buried in a metal box. They were hinged together in accordion style and measured 14 by 15 inches and dated back to the 10th century AD. In the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem, there is a plaque of thin gold foil from the Roman period. On this plate, used to cover the lips of the dead, is inscribed, "Take courage, Cosmos." In 1920, at the headwaters of the Tigris River, explorers found a gold tablet of King Shalmaneser in the land now known as Iraq. Though the tablet is undated, we know that Shalmaneser lived about 800 years before Christ. In 1938, while excavating the palace of King Darius I, who reigned over Persia in the 6th century before Christ, a team from the University of Chicago discovered the closest and most spectacular parallel to the Book of Mormon plates. King Darius, in commemoration of the completion of his palace at Persepolis, placed metal tablets in stone boxes at the corners of the structure. Translations of the tablets reveal that they gave thanks to God and asked for protection of the royal household. One of the oldest examples of writing on gold plates is found in the Louvre Museum in Paris. It is the gold plate of Ojaka Uma and was discovered in the foundation of a sacred building in Iraq. It measures less than 2 by 3 inches and dates back to 2450 BC. Also in the Louvre Museum are the 6 plates of Sargon II. They came from Khorsabad's palace in Assyria 700 years BC. Encased in a box, one of the plates was gold. In Rome are 3 magnificent gold plates of Pergi, written in the language of the Phoenicians and Etruscans, who lived 500 years BC. The plates are about 5 by 7 inches. You can still see the holes where they were originally fastened with nails to the door of the temple of the goddess Astarte. These plates are very nearly the size of those described by Joseph Smith. In the British Museum in London are found beautiful Mongan gold plates containing Buddhist scripture and dating back to the 1st century AD. They are 1 by 14 inches. Writing on gold plates was, indeed, a common practice anciently. When gold was not plentiful, other metals were used. Here are some lead and bronze plates with inscriptions. An inscribed bronze scoop dating back to 2000 BC. Writing on mirrors and even on metal molded animals were found. And bronze statue pedestals bearing inscriptions. An outstanding example of writing on silver comes from Bethany. This scroll, dated 400 AD, was found rolled up in a copper tube. It is very small and had to be photographed and magnified in order for the ancient Greek writing to be read. It lists religious beings who could ward off evil influences. One of the famous Dead Sea copper scrolls from the Qumran community near Jerusalem, which existed before Christ, is proudly displayed in the National Archaeological Museum in Jordan. Buried in one of these large jars, this scroll, written in Hebrew, told of buried treasure which has never been found. It told of tithing and temple receipts for the Qumran community. In Rome, there are 2 ancient books called codices from America. They were written on the pounded bark of trees and folded like an accordion book. They contained beautiful, colorful drawings and hieroglyphs which were made 1400 years AD. They are now being translated. These books are renowned because of their perfect preservation. They are housed in the Vatican Library. When Joseph Smith reported that he had found inscribed gold plates buried in a stone box, the idea seemed novel. Yet, prominently on display in the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, is a stone box containing copper plates with writing from the foundation of the Temple of Dagon at Mari, and these date back to 3000 BC. Not only did ancient peoples write on metal plates, but they also wrote on metal columns, such as this giant pillar from the Near East dating back to 1100 BC. When Joseph Smith reported that his ancient gold plates were bound with metal rings, once again the idea seemed novel. Actually, though, the ancient Sanskrit and Tamil plates from India, dating to AD 769, are bound together with a copper ring. These are in the British Museum, along with other plates from India, written in ancient Pali. Some of these plates were a base metal, covered with gold with enameled black writing. The British Museum also houses 2 ancient boxes. One is from Balawad and contains 2 stone tablets. The other is of clay and was found near the ziggurat at Zippar, Babylonia. It is dated 600 BC. Joseph Smith said that the history written on his gold plates was of a people whose roots began in the Middle East and who brought with them to the New World the traditions and customs of their land. These customs included writing on metal plates and burying them in stone boxes. Joseph Smith is not alone anymore in declaring that ancient American inhabitants in the New World could not only write, but that they preserved their writings in much the same manner as was previously done in the Old World. Archaeologist Rivero and historian Schudy recorded instances of the ancient Peruvians writing on metal. The well-known Hugo Cohen Museum in Lima houses an intriguing gold plate found in a Peruvian area called Lambayeque. It measures 4 by 8 inches and contains writing symbols. Several plates of copper, bronze, and gold have been found by modern natives digging in the ruins of Cuenca, Ecuador. Scientists are now studying the plates to determine their authenticity and relationship to the ancient languages of the Old World. One of the best known examples of ancient writing on metal in the New World comes from the sacrificial well or cenote in Chichen Itza on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. When the Peabody Museum crew from Harvard University began dredging this well, they found embossed gold discs, among which was one with Mayan inscriptions. This well predates Columbus. The gold disc is now in the Peabody Museum. J. Eric Thompson, the Maya hieroglyphic expert, says that inscriptions have been found on metal in post-classic Mesoamerica. Juan D. Torquemada, in discussing the ancient Toltec of Mexico, noted that they wrote in 2 columns, one of metal and the other of stone. A native Mexican writer of colonial times wrote, "It is certain that there was this kind of artisan in Oaxaca, as well as for recently, the Miztecs sold to some European antiquarians some very thin gold plates, which were engraved with ancient hieroglyphs." The Museum of American Indian in New York City displays a gold disc thought to be a calendar. Inscriptions were placed on this metal 800 BC, somewhere in the Chavin area of Peru. Although stone boxes were used commonly in the Old World to bury and preserve histories and other treasures, only recently have ancient stone boxes been discovered in America in significant numbers. Many of these are now on display in the Archaeological Museum in Mexico. Over the years, as scholars and adventurers alike have viewed these magnificent temples and carvings, all have experienced a sense of awe as they have observed on every hand the remains of these highly civilized people from a once glorious society. Archaeologists have marveled at their knowledge of mathematics, engineering, architecture, and viewed their ancient highways, temples, observatories, and art with solemn wonder. Would not a people with this type of advanced intelligence have been able to communicate on all levels, to keep records, yes, even to writing on metal?